Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Fiberflux. In this video, I will show you how to crochet candy-coated boot cuffs. These are very fun and I designed them with kids in mind. They have very bold, fun, candy-colored striping and a super fun eyelash yarn neon fuzzy edge. So I used post stitches to create these sort of horizontal stripes. And for this project, you'll need a 6mm J crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. You'll need some worsted weight yarn in colors of your choice. And I used Red Heart Super Saver. You can use any worsted weight yarn you like. And you'll also need some eyelash yarn. This is, let me pull a strand here. This comes in lots of fun colors, and lots of different yarn companies make this, but it's a relatively thin strand of yarn, and it has these kind of feathery strands coming off, and they make for a really fun addition to any project. So let's get started. I wanted to talk a little bit about sizing. There's no specific stitch count for this, meaning we're not counting stitches or skipping over stitches or anything like that. We're just working a stitch into each one of our starting chains when we begin. So they're very customizable for any size leg. Now when you're measuring to make your own, what you'll want to do is measure the circumference around right under the knee, where in between the leg and the calf area. So right under the knee is where you're going to measure, and that will give you the proper circumference for your boot cuffs. These particular boot cuffs, however, are 4 inches tall and have a circumference of 9 inches, but definitely measure first for the best fit for the boot cuffs. The boot cuffs are also very stretchy and will give a little bit too as you wear them. Also, I wanted to mention these boot cuffs are reversible. I have one boot cuff here that I've turned on one side and one I've turned on the other side. And as you can see, they look very different. And if you want to be extra fun, you could wear one on each side, or you could wear them so that they match. We're going to begin by selecting one of our colors of the worsted weight yarn. And I'm going to go with blue. We're going to begin with a starting chain. If you want the same measurements as the photo, the 4 inches tall and the 9-inch circumference, we're going to begin with a chain of 26 for that particular measurement. However, be sure to measure for best fit and begin with your own starting chain if you need to. So we're going to chain 26. If you're not sure, make your starting chain and you can simply just wrap it around the leg, okay? To make a chain, wrap the yarn around your hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. We're going to join our starting chain in the furthest chain from the hook. So go all the way down to the end and locate the farthest chain from your hook. We're going to work a slip stitch into that chain. Insert your hook into the chain, just like that. Wrap the yarn around your hook and bring up a loop. Now bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. We now have our ring, which we will be working our cuffs from the bottom up. Okay? So what we're going to do for round 1 is chain 2. 1 and 2. Now I wanted to mention, whenever you're working a striped project, you're going to have lots and lots of ends. So my recommendation is to try and weave in the ends as you go along the best you can. You can do this by taking the end and kind of laying it along your project as you work. And as you work your stitches, try to incorporate that end. If you don't want to do this, you can always take your tapestry needle and do it at the end. Okay? So we've chained 2. We're beginning round 1. So we're chain 2. Then we're going to work a double crochet in each chain all the way around. To work a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert it into the chain, bring up a loop. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Okay, we're going to do that in each chain all the way around. Again, I'm incorporating my tail so we don't have to deal with it later. I'm just working a double crochet in each chain. And this will give us the bottom part. Again, we're working from the bottom up for our cuffs. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and work a double crochet in each chain around. And when we get towards the end of this round, we'll rejoin and I'll show you how to close the round. So we've arrived at the end of our round. So what we're going to do is just insert the hook into that starting chain that we made, that chain 2 at the beginning of our round, and work a slip stitch to close the round. Okay, so round 1 will look just like a double crochet band, sort of. Now, I did a very random kind of striping sequence for my boot cuffs. I'm going to show you how to switch colors. The next round we're going to do is the round that is repeated for the rest of the project. So let's go ahead and fasten off. Now, you can make monochromatic boot cuffs and just add the fun, colorful top, or you can do stripes like me. If you want to keep going in the same color, just keep going. But if you want to do them stripy, go ahead and cut the yarn, fasten it off, and we're going to work round 2. We're going to do a back post double crochet stitch all the way around. So let's grab our yellow yarn, and again, any colors you like. I just grabbed 2 colors of the worsted weight. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to join the yellow. Insert your hook into one of the stitches, bring it through, and then just tie it right on. Okay, just like that. Okay, so now we're ready to work round 2. So we're ready to begin round 2. We're going to work a chain 2 to start the beginning of this round, but I want to show you a little trick. You could simply just insert your hook and work a chain 2 to begin the round, then begin working your stitches. However, if you see here, it doesn't look the same as a back post double crochet would. It just looks like we've chained 2 right on top of our stitch. So in order to make that blend, I'm going to show you a little trick. We're going to insert our hook before we even touch the yellow yarn. Come up from behind this. We're going to be working this first post here. Okay, we're going to chain 2 in the same style as we would when we're working a back post double crochet stitch. And as I do this, you'll see what I mean. So go ahead and insert your hook and then go over top of the post and back down in. See how I did that? Just like we're working a back post double crochet stitch. And I'll show you how to do that too. Go ahead and bring the yarn through just like that, and then chain 2. 1, 2. So that will mimic the look of the stitches that we're about to do. So start each row like that, and it'll make your stitches blend in a little bit nicer than just simply working a chain 2. Okay, I'm just going to get the tails out of the way. You can obviously weave those in as you go along like we mentioned before. So next what we're going to do to complete this round, we're going to work a back post double crochet in each double crochet all the way around our circle. Okay, so wrap yarn around hook, come up from behind, go over top of the post, grab that yarn and bring it through. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. And we're going to do a few of these so you can get the hang of it. I also have another video on the Fiberflux YouTube channel on how to work back post double crochet stitches. So if you want to master that technique before you begin this project, definitely watch that video. It'll tell you all about it. Okay, so let's do a few more. Wrap yarn around hook, come up from behind, go over top of that post, and come through. Wrap the yarn around the hook, bring that loop through. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops on your hook. Let's get a little bit more yarn. Okay, so you can see the back post double crochet shows this little kind of stitchy loop here. Okay, so let's work a few more. Yarn around hook, come up from behind, come over top of that post, grab some yarn and bring it through. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Let's do a few more and then we'll continue the rest of the round on our own. Yarn around hook, come up from behind, go over top of the post, yarn around hook, bring that loop through. Yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. So as you can see, our progress looks very nice, and it's looking a lot like these boot cuffs. These little horizontal stitches is how you, these back post double crochet stitches is how you achieve that look. Okay, so we're just going to work a few more, and then I'm going to work on the rest of my round, and you can do the same, and we'll rejoin towards the end of the round. Okay? Okay, so I'm just working that last back post double crochet stitch. So what we're going to do to close this round is do the same thing we did in the previous round, and just work a slip stitch to close the round. Okay? So this is what our completed round looks like, and you can see these fun stitches being revealed. Now if we turn it around to the other side, the opposite of a back post double crochet is a front post double crochet. So it'll give that appearance on the reverse. So what you're going to do to complete your boot cuffs is to keep working round 2 over and over and over until the boot cuff is as high as you'd like it to be. I worked mine until mine were about 4 inches tall. Okay? So we're going to pretend as if our boot cuff is as high as we want it to be. I'm going to pretend it's tall enough. You can go ahead and just fasten that off. And when you want to keep going, just tie on the new color to proceed. But we're going to pretend ours is as tall as we want it to be. We're going to work this fun neon edging last to finish off our boot cuffs. So this is our boot cuff that we've made as tall as we want it to be. So what you're going to do is just insert your hook into one of the stitches and bring the new yarn through. I find with the eyelash yarn, it's not too difficult to work with if you stick to simple, easy, basic stitches. Because there's all these little strands, I like to stick to very basic stitches. So all we're going to do with this fun edging at the top is work a single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Okay? So we can get our tails out of the way or weave them in as you go along. It's up to you. Okay? So reinsert your hook back into that same stitch and bring up a loop. Okay? Then chain 1, and then in each stitch work a single crochet. Okay? Insert your hook into the stitch, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops. Okay? It's going to be at times to work with this kind of yarn with all these little strands, it can be a little bit messy. But as you work, these strands will kind of settle and do their thing. Okay, so let's just work a single crochet in each stitch all the way around the top edge here. And that's all you do to make this top edge. Just keep it very simple. You don't want to get too complicated. First, because of the little strands, but also there's already a lot going on with this yarn. So any fancy stitch work probably won't be able to be seen very well anyway. So that's why we're just keeping it very, very simple here. Just working a single crochet in each stitch. Okay, so go ahead and do that and we'll rejoin in just a moment. So we're coming up to the end of our edging round. You're just going to go ahead in the stitch where you began, because you don't see how this yellow, there's like a yellow gap there. Go ahead and also work a single crochet into the stitch where you began, just to close that up visually to have a solid band of color. Okay, then you're going to take your yarn and fasten it off. Then you can weave the ends in. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is our little sampler boot cuff. And sometimes these little strands will fall off when you cut the yarn. They don't really shed when you're wearing it, but when you cut it, sometimes those strands get cut as well. So this is our little sampler size. So what you want to do when you're finished is you'll have all these ends. I left mine hanging down. If you wove your ends in as you went along, then you won't have too many. But you'll just want to go ahead and weave all those ends that you have left, whether you have a lot or little. And because these are reversible, you want to make sure your work is nice and neat on both sides. Okay, so go ahead in one direction. And when you're weaving in your ends with striped projects or any multiple color project, weave the end into the color, the same color. So we're weaving pink into pink. We'll weave yellow into yellow and blue into blue. Okay, so go ahead and just trim that off. And then you can do the same for the other ends. So that is how you crochet the candy coated boot cuffs. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click on the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiberflux video updates. Thanks again.